In the underworld, where love and crime collide, the marriages of mafia bosses reveal grim truths: loyalty, betrayal, and bloodshed. Behind the glittering facade lies untold tragedy. So, can love truly survive in the shadows of the mafia? John Gotti, the infamous boss of the Gambino crime family, was not only remembered as the dapper Don for his flamboyant style, but also as the Teflon Don for slipping away from conviction time and time again. Yet behind the glittering power and headlines, his marriage to Victoria DiGiorgio unfolded as a tale both tragic and dramatic. Victoria, the woman who stood by Gotti for life, became a rare symbol of unwavering loyalty in the dangerous world of the mafia. Despite assassination attempts, high-profile trials, and endless whispers about her husband's brutality, she maintained an air of elegance and poise, a steady wall shielding the family's honor. But beneath that calm surface lay rumors of ambition, manipulation, and dark secrets only insiders would ever know. Was their love truly rooted in sacred devotion, or was it a chain forged in the shadows of crime? The story of John and Victoria Gotti reveals the razor-thin line where love, power, and destruction intertwine. Henry Hill, the notorious New York gangster, and his wife Karen Friedman Hill carved out a blood-stained chapter in mafia history. At first, Karen was dazzled by the glamour of the underworld: lavish parties, money flowing like water, and the sense of protection Henry provided. But the harsh truth quickly surfaced. After one neighbor dared to assault her, a single phone call brought Henry storming in. He dragged the man out of his car, pulled a gun, and pistol-whipped him until blood spilled, then casually handed Karen the weapon to hide. Strangely, she wasn't terrified. She admitted that the raw violence felt sexy. From that moment, their love was bound to blood, brutality, and fear. When Henry was sentenced to 10 years in prison for extortion, Karen was left alone to face the cold reality of the world she once admired. She had fallen for the glitz, but what she received was isolation, betrayal, and constant danger. Can love survive when passion itself is fueled by violence and shadows? Al Capone, branded as public enemy number one, not only terrorized Chicago with violence and corruption, but also left behind a haunting love story with his wife, May Coughlin. When she met Capone, May was just an ordinary young woman, soon swept into the whirlwind of power and blood. Despite his notorious infidelities and countless affairs, she chose to marry him and build a family by his side. Yet the deepest wound she carried was not from the massacres Capone orchestrated, but from the silent betrayals within their marriage. May once warned her son, "Don't do as your father did. He broke my heart." When Capone was sentenced to 11 years in prison for tax evasion, a shocking legal strike by the government, his empire collapsed. His final years dissolved into hallucinations and illness, his mind and body rotting away. Still, May remained by his side, fiercely protecting his dignity and ensuring he received the best medical care, even as his life slipped into shadows. Her devotion became a tragic testament, unwavering loyalty in the midst of crime, betrayal, and unbearable pain. Carlo Gambino, often seen as the epitome of cunning and restraint in the mafia world, built an empire of organized crime without flaunting violence like so many others. He married Catherine Castellano, the sister of Paul Castellano, and this union became a strategic bond that solidified his grip on power. Catherine remained the quiet wife, rarely appearing in public, yet always standing firmly behind her husband as his pillar of strength. While Carlo commanded over 500 soldiers and thousands of associates, chilling rumors about his private life began to surface. Power was not only a tool to run the family, but also to dominate and exploit vulnerable women. Whether hidden or denied, those shadows cast a dark pall over the Gambino household. When Carlo died of a heart attack in 1976 at his peaceful Long Island home, Catherine was still at his side, loyal until the very end. Their marriage mirrored Carlo's criminal career. Outwardly calm, controlled, and disciplined, yet beneath the surface lay deadly secrets that would never be spoken aloud. Pasquale Simonetti, a member of the Camorra crime syndicate, seemed destined to give his wife, Petta Maresca, a life of power and wealth. Born into a mafia family, Petta, nicknamed the Little Doll, had long been surrounded by the shadows of crime, yet she initially chose the spotlight of beauty pageants. Her striking looks captivated Simonetti, and soon they became one of the most glamorous couples in Italy's underworld. but their happiness lasted only 3 months. Simonetti was gunned down by an assassin hired by his rival, Antonio Esposito, while Peta was 6 months pregnant. Overnight, the radiant young bride became a grieving widow, consumed by despair. Yet her sorrow quickly transformed into fury. With the help of her brother, she tracked Esposito down and shot him 29 times in broad daylight, a brazen act that shook the entire city. Her trial became a media spectacle, and she was branded the diva of crime after defiantly declaring in court, "I would do it again without hesitation." Peta's story shocked the world, forcing the question, can love turn a woman into an angel of devotion or a demon of vengeance? Vito Genovese, the notorious New York Mafia boss, once served as Lucky Luciano's right-hand man and quickly climbed to the heights of power in the underworld. But behind his ruthless facade lay a controversial marriage to Anna Genovese. They wed shortly after Anna's first husband was mysteriously murdered, and she stepped into the role of Dark Queen of the Genovese family. Yet unlike many mafia wives who chose silence and obedience, Anna forged her own path. While Vito was exiled in Italy, she used her mafia connections to open drag bars and nightclubs, creating safe havens for the LGBTQ community. A bold move at a time when their very existence was criminalized. This defiance made Anna a prominent figure, but it also drove a wedge into her marriage. When Vito returned to America, Anna no longer hid her rebellion. She openly pursued affairs with multiple women. Their marriage, instead of standing as a symbol of loyalty, became a stage of explosive drama where power, betrayal, and the desperate pursuit of freedom collided. Vincent Mad Dog Call, a name that struck terror during Prohibition, was considered one of the most ruthless and unpredictable killers of the Irish mob in New York. Handsome, intelligent, yet brutal to the core, Call was infamous for daring assassinations, kidnappings, and was even accused of causing the death of a 5-year-old child. The woman tied to his bloody reign, Lottie Call, born Charlotte Denninger, was no less reckless. Once arrested for burglary, Lottie soon slipped into the world of crime and met Mad Dog Call in 1930. Together, they embodied a love story steeped in violence. When the pair were arrested in a hotel for possessing an unregistered gun, Lottie boldly claimed it was hers, shielding her husband and proving her absolute loyalty. But their fate was never destined for peace. In 1932, Vincent Cole was ambushed and cut down in a hail of bullets while making a phone call from a booth. Stripped of her protector, Lottie plunged deeper into darkness. In 1933, she was arrested after accidentally shooting a bystander, earning a 10-year prison sentence. After her release, she vanished without a trace, her ultimate fate a haunting mystery. The woman who once defied the world for love disappeared into silence, leaving behind a chilling question. Did she finally become the last victim of the very shadows she embraced? Frank Costello, known as the Prime Minister of the Underworld, was one of the most powerful mafia bosses in America. Born in Calabria, Italy, Costello immigrated to the U.S. as a child and soon drifted into crime. From a street thug, he climbed to the top ranks of the Luciano crime family, eventually becoming a dominant leader who oversaw bootlegging, gambling, and money laundering. Yet behind the blood-stained aura of power, he maintained a home life with his loyal wife, Loretta Gierman. Loretta, a Jewish woman, married Costello in 1918. While her husband was entangled in endless criminal enterprises and surrounded by violence, she projected calm and stability. Their lavish Long Island estate and luxurious apartment on Central Park West reflected a double life. Elegance and wealth on the outside, danger lurking within. Even when Costello was repeatedly imprisoned and nearly killed in a high-profile assassination attempt, Loretta never abandoned him. The failed assassination in 1957 marked a turning point. Costello decided to withdraw from the underworld, relinquishing his title as the Prime Minister and retreating into a surprising passion, gardening. The once feared racketeer spent his later years tending flowers, a disarming image of tranquility for a man who once terrorized New York. The marriage of Frank and Loretta remains a dramatic paradox. Simple love coexisting with immense power, crime, and the deadly shadows of the mafia world. Charles Lucky Luciano, regarded as the father of modern organized crime, reshaped the entire underworld in America by founding the Commission, the powerful council that unified the Mafia families. Intelligent, ruthless, and endlessly ambitious, Luciano built his empire on blood, prostitution, gambling, and corruption, cementing himself as one of the most feared figures in history. Yet behind that blood-soaked legacy was a mysterious love story with the ballerina E.A. Leeson. Leeson entered Luciano's life after he was deported to Italy in 1946. In Naples, he lived under strict surveillance, forced by law to remain home at night, yet his aura of power never faded. People continued to fear and respect him, and beside him, Leeson became a quiet symbol of loyalty, a devoted partner who shielded the once dominant boss of America's underworld. But even love could not rescue Luciano from his tragic fate. In 1962, he collapsed and died of a heart attack at Naples International Airport on his way to meet a film producer to discuss a movie about his life. The sudden death marked a dramatic end to a man who once ruled the underworld with an iron fist. For E.A. Leeson, it left her as the silent witness to a love woven with power, shadows, and inevitable destruction. Jack Spot Comer, the notorious gangster of London's East End, was born into a poor immigrant family, but rose to become a force no one dared to challenge. His nickname Spot followed him from childhood, earned because he was always on the spot whenever trouble erupted. With his violent nature and calculating mind, Jack quickly seized control of protection rackets, gambling operations, and shady deals at racetracks, amassing immense wealth and a fearsome reputation. Behind this bloody empire stood his wife, Rita Comer. They married in the 1950s and lived with their 2 daughters in a luxurious Hyde Park Mansions flat. Rita was not only the guardian of their home, but also a quiet partner in crime, helping Jack cover his tracks and occasionally assisting in his illicit ventures. Together, they became one of London's underworld power couples, admired by some, feared by many. Yet Jack's path was never free from bloodshed. In 1956, as the couple returned home, they were ambushed near their residence by the gang of mad Frankie Fraser. Violence spilled onto the streets, reminding the world that in the underworld, power is always fragile. For Jack and Rita, their bond only magnified the tragedy, a love story that burned brightly but was forever entwined with danger and betrayal. Arthur Thompson, a name that made the entire city of Glasgow tremble, was known as the Godfather of Scotland. Growing up during World War II, he quickly gained a reputation for his skill with both knives and fists, paired with a cold stare that could paralyze enemies with fear. From a debt enforcer, Arthur steadily built an empire on loan sharking, extortion, and protection rackets. His power stemmed not only from sheer brutality, but also from a web of intimidation that spread terror through every corner of Glasgow. Beside him was his wife, Rita Thompson, the silent witness to his blood-stained life. She lived with him and their children in a mansion nicknamed the Ponderosa, rumored to contain secret tunnels and hidden chambers like a fortress. It was not merely a home, but a symbol of an underworld kingdom. Though she often remained in the background, Rita inevitably became part of the storm, serving as the steady anchor of the family amidst the chaos of Arthur's violent rule. Arthur Thompson ruled Glasgow through fear, and Rita's presence only heightened the drama, a man who forged power with blood, and a woman who lived her entire life within the shadow of his reign. Together, they embodied a chilling paradox, a love bound in chains of crime, loyalty, and unrelenting violence. Joe Bonanno, the infamous boss of one of New York's 5 families, became a name synonymous with both power and betrayal. Born in Sicily, Bonanno carried the Mafia bloodline from childhood, and upon arriving in America, he quickly rose to become a cornerstone of the underworld. After the Castellamarise War, he took control of a powerful family that would forever bear his name. But what set him apart was not just his influence, it was his defiance of tradition when he dared to write a memoir, breaking Omertà, the sacred code of silence in the Mafia. Standing beside Joe Bonanno for more than 6 decades was Faye Labruto, his loyal wife and a symbol of endurance in the shadows. They married in 1931, just 2 months after Salvatore Maranzano's murder, and Faye accompanied Joe through every turning point, from the peak of his reign to betrayals by allies, from assassination plots to mysterious disappearances. While Joe was condemned by fellow mobsters as a traitor, Faye kept the family intact, raising their 3 children, and protecting her husband's image until the very